Hi everyone, I'm Autumn Hawkins with Lowkey R&B, and today we have the beautiful and talented Kiana Ledé with us. How are you doing today, Kiana?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm good. I'm good. So everyone knows why we're here, because we're here to talk about Grudges. And I have no grudge against you because this album is absolutely amazing. I was just telling her off record how I've been playing it all weekend, shuffling it, going through it. So this was your first full length album in 3 years. So how, as an artist, have you evolved over since like your debut project in 2020?
Oh my God. I mean, I've evolved so much. I always say like I'm the same core person. My core is the same, but the way that I react to things, the way that I move through life, my mentality, the freedom that I've given myself permission to have, it's all just so different. I've worked a lot on my mental health. That's been a huge game changer, which allowed me to make different decisions that have led me into a way better space.
Nice. I love that. Because like you do definitely have to, like when you were talking about the album too, it's just like there's a very vulnerable album and you're able to, really put into words, into songs, like how you were feeling at those moments. So can you just explain why you chose to name your album Grudges?
So I started writing the album like 2.5 years ago. So there's definitely some songs in there that I was working through coming out of a relationship that
Mm-hmm.
I thought was really healthy for me and ended up being probably one of the scariest because I never really knew what that person was thinking, hence
Mm.
generalized gender.
Yes, we want to talk about that one.
um, so that's when I started writing the album. And then as the album went on, I started finding a lot of peace in different areas of my life and moved on from that relationship and
Mhm.
became really removed from that person and from that relationship. So you from hearing the album, you can hear that I feel, but we were gonna call the album Closure, and that was the
Mm.
original title for a really long time. And then listening back to everything,
Mhm.
because I had started this whole process when I think hearing me work through everything sounded like I was really going through a lot. And I was talking more about the grudges I had towards people, towards myself, towards men specifically, and toward
Mhm.
my own emotions. So it just felt like after we wrote Grudges, the song, it felt like that was a big release for me. And
Mhm.
you have to name your grudges to be able to work through them. And
Absolutely.
so we decided to call the album Grudges instead because it was just more about me talking about shit that I went through.
I think that's a very fitting. Not that Closure wouldn't have been a good title, but I just think Grudges is better
Yeah.
because, I think is, it's because you have to, like you said, like you have to explain or like tell like why you were mad about something because of someone, like that's what I feel like the album is too. So I think that was a good call on your part. Um, So what was your favorite song? What's your favorite song on the album and why? That might be a little hard. There's 17 tracks. If you need to do a top three, that's totally okay.
It is hard, but I feel like this one is easy for me to answer right now just because I think it's a song that people really feel a lot, but it's not like the top song right now. It's not like one of the quote unquote hit songs. It's
Mhm.
just very emotional for me. It's Same Type.
Mm.
And that one, I think I'm kind of addressing the grudge I hold against men, starting all the way from my dad until what I've experienced now and up until the album came out.
Mhm.
And those are grudges that are really hard to let go of. And I don't know if I'm ever gonna fully let go of them because men are trash. But
Yes,
I really just, it's that part.
absolutely.
I put my whole heart and soul into that. And you can feel and hear the passion and the heartache, but also the anger that I have in
Mhm.
it, which is really nice to be able to let go in an aggressive way, but also a therapeutic way, rather than just like crying or feeling like a bad bitch sometimes.
Hmm. I was gonna get into that too, because with your album, I feel like you have those moments of vulnerability, but like you also have those moments where like I'm a bad bitch. Like you get right back to it. So how do you practice that in your real life too?
I think, like Rihanna said, fake it until you make it. You got to fake it
Mm,
until you feel it. And I would say my friends and I are really, I don't know if this is like a toxic thing or if it's a good thing, but we're really good at laughing shit off and
mm-hmm.
just laughing at our own pain, because if you can't laugh at the end of the day, you're just going to be miserable because life is crazy. There's some great parts and there's some horrible parts. And I'd rather be able to laugh at my own pain or look back and be like, what the fuck was I doing?
Mm-hmm.
And and make a joke out of it than just be upset and crying all the time.
Yeah, I think so with my friend group too. Like we're really like we'll laugh at our stuff and then we'll talk about it. It's like, yeah, I had so when we talk about therapy, we always just say like, oh, it's my counseling sessions, like so I went to my counseling session and we discussed blah blah blah. And, it's because we laughed about it like 3 weeks ago, and then it's like, dang, this really hit me, like I actually need to talk about this. So I think it's okay to laugh things off. And like with this album, you address them.
Yes. And also to recognize that no matter what, you're always going to get through it and you're always going to be a badder bitch than you started.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. One of my favorite things about this album too is like the transitions between the songs, like Promise Me to Gone and then Gone to Gemini Slander, which you're gonna talk about for sure. So is that something that you or your producer advocated for the project?
Yeah, it was one of the last things we did. Obviously, we wanted to have the track list all together, but we had this idea of making it feel like a journey and a process, and it's all fluid. Nothing ever just really stops. So in between most of the songs, you hear this beautiful musical transition, but also on top of it, you hear these breaths. And we wanted it to feel like we were really releasing shit. And
Mm-hmm.
that is what music is. And so every time I call out something, I feel a little bit looser, a little bit better, and a little bit more relaxed. Or after something like Promise Me, you hear the breaths and you're like, that's hot. You
Mm-hmm.
gotta cool off after. You gotta cool
Right.
off. Take a deep breath and get back
Yeah.
to your day after that hot shit.
Yes.
But yeah, it was something that was really important to us just to make it feel all like one cohesive thing, because that's what life should be, just one long process.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I thought it was such a nice touch. And that's why I really care for when artists do that and advocate for that, because I think we're so used to just going to, okay, I want to see the features on the song. I'm gonna go to the featured artist, or like I do want to listen to the whole project, but I want to listen into the order I want. Like I think that's a separate part of art to put it in the track listing. And I think with this generation sometimes it's like we take for granted, like, and I'm so happy that like artists like you still do that and have that incorporate that into your projects.
Thank you.
Of course. So we gotta talk about some Gemini slander, because once I heard the title, I was like, yo, this is my girl. This is my girl for real. Like you were my girl before, but now you're really my girl. Cause I'm like, yo, these Geminis. So, I had to do my little background too. And I noticed we are both Aries.
Oh
So
wow, so you really get me.
so I get
You
you on a
really get
different level.
me.
I was like, yo, when I saw your birthday, I was like, oh my God, this girl. I knew there was something, and now I know what it is. So,
Yeah.
so one of my favorite lines from that song is like, a bad bitch can't do no baggage, like can't do baggage, let it go. So is astrology something that you're really into too? I feel like you have to be at this point to name it that.
Yeah. I've just found that with most of my friends, exes, people I've talked to, whatever, They really truly are like their sign, for sure.
Mhm,
I've seen a lot of similarities between them all. They're all different people, but they all have very similar traits when it comes to their zodiac sign and their birthdays.
mhm,
I would say for me specifically, even if you don't fully believe in the zodiac,
mhm.
I am definitely an Aries. Like, whatever you would use to describe me is you could literally just say the word Aries, look it up in a look up the description of Aries, and that's me. So,
Mhm.
whether you believe it or not, that is 100% me. Geminis, most of the Geminis I met in my life, I'm sorry to say, but they all have a lot of the same similarities when it comes with how they deal with shit. Not trying to call out names. My
Mhm.
ex, won't say the name, but that's as close I'm gonna get.
Yes.
I feel like there's always two different responses that I get, and there's only two. You're either on Gemini team or you're on the anti-Gemini team, and
Mhm.
usually the ones that are on the Gemini team are only the Geminis.
Exactly, and it's like birds of a feather, they're gonna flock. They're gonna
Exactly.
flock together. And I was like, "Oh, like, you love Geminis, like, what's your sign?" "Gemini." I'm like,
Ye
yeah." Exactly. You guys have to advocate for yourselves so bad. Like, there's a reason why you have to. You gotta be your own best
Exactly.
friend being a Gemini. Like,
And it's so funny because I feel like Geminis, like, we say that they're indecisive, but I really feel like, yes, while they can be indecisive, everybody's indecisive
mhm, at some point.
at some point,
Mhm,
when it comes to certain things. However, I feel like Geminis come off as indecisive because they're
mhm.
really just out for themselves for the most part.
Mhm,
So they never
mhm.
want you to know what they're thinking. They want it to come across like they're indecisive.
Yes, or they don't know what they're doing. Like, that's the other thing with, like, just, like, men are trash conversation. It's like they have to play that they're dumb, because if they play that they're smart, then they'll be manipulative. So if I play
Yeah.
dumb, no one's gonna think I'm actually, like, capable of trying to change your mind into something, you
Yes, it's so
know?
like passive aggressive kinda.
Yes, very much so, very much so. With the title track Grudges, you saying, like, "Keep losing faith in everyone else," and, like, they say I'm strong. That's why I knew you're an Aries. I was like, you know, they just had to be strong for no reason, and over the drama that turns into trauma. So I felt that. You mentioned before, like, how you were able to get to this place, but why was it important for you to put this on the album?
I don't think there was a way for me to go through what I've been through, come out of it on the other side for now,
Mhm,
and write that song and be in that session that I would have felt right not putting it on the album.
mhm,
I love the people that I made the song with so much, and the story was just too important for me to let go of as well.
mhm,
I think a lot of times we can get stuck in our traumas, and I know personally I have a lot of triggers,
mhm. Same.
and it's just important to speak on that in between middle ground, confusing gray area that we're in when we really want to get through our shit.
Mhm.
But it seems like the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's so easy. It almost seems like it's easier to hold on to a grudge, even though it hurts you more as
Mhm,
time goes on. It does feel easier. And I'm still working on it.
mhm,
I have a hard time forgiving and forgetting for
mhm,
sure. But a lot of the things from my past, I'm actively trying to get over them.
mhm.
When I was writing that song, I wrote it with a guy named Sam Hook, and he had a heart attack exactly a year ago to the day at 31.
Oh, wow.
And he was telling me that it was from his frustration and resentment that he held in his heart, and he just kept so many grudges there that it was leading him to a place that was really unhealthy for him,
Mhm.
for his heart, for his spirit, and he's made so many changes in his life to work to be in a space so far away from where he was.
Mhm.
And that's so admirable.
Yeah.
And he actually had me journal, and he was writing journal prompts and a shared note with me throughout the entire session as we were writing. And I was crying. It was a beautiful moment. And there's still a lot of times where I listen to that song and I cry. It still
Mhm.
feels really painful and therapeutic at the same time, which is how I felt in that session. That's how we feel when we try to move on from things, when we really commit ourselves to it. And when I had Joyce Rice, Destin Conrad, Sinead Harnett, and Kyle Dion come on to do the backgrounds, the point of that was to make it feel like a community. Like we're all going through our own shit. All of us artists, we write about heartbreak and pain and anger all the time. I would say when we're writing about love and people say we make love songs, most of the time they're not a positive love song. Usually it's more about
Mhm.
heartbreak and how our love has hurt us in life.
Mhm.
And so, with us all going through our own shit and coming together to sing on that song, it just felt so much more powerful. And I was going through such a hard time, especially at that time with some health issues. And I was taking medication that was making me fall asleep all the time. And I just had so much anxiety. I was having panic attacks constantly. And that day was one of those days. And I felt so bad because they were all there for that session for me to do backgrounds on my song. And
Mhm.
I felt like I really need to show up and be the best me that I could be the artist, be the creative. And
Mhm.
I was not capable of doing it that day. And
Mhm.
Kyle came to me and said, "That's okay. That's what we're here for."
Mhm.
And that was the theme to the entire song. That was what the song was about. And I had to realize that I have to surrender sometimes
Mhm.
to my body and my mental health. And there's things that I can't control, even when it comes to myself. And knowing that I could lean on them just in that session was a symbol for how we should be able to lean on our community. And that's why it's so important to have a good community and people that will hold you accountable, but also hold you up at the same time.
Yeah, wow, that was amazing. The whole story, wow. That was a word. Wow. Because I think it's just I'm like really speechless. Like that was I think it's so hard. It is extremely hard to put your walls down. And I know we were like jokingly like talking about, astrology and everything and stuff like that. But just like this, like how you would describe yourself is like how you would describe an Aries. It's just like being strong really sucks. Like it really sucks because you feel as though you're not allowed to ask for help. And I think that that moment just shows you that you have people around you, you have your community that you're able to lean on for support because you can't do it. You can't be 100% all the time. And I just think it's so beautiful that those people were there for you and that you were able to get through it. And that's why I really just love that song because there's several lines in that song, not even just the ones I mentioned. It's just like you can tell that you were being very genuine and honest in that song. And what you just shared too just proves 100% what, we were all listening to. So
Thank you.
thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Um, so speaking of, having other people, you had a couple of features on your album, like LMA, Bryson, Khalid, and so many talented producers. So what is an element that, each artist or just the people that you worked with, like brought to your project?
I think everyone brought their own sauce. And that is the beauty in collaboration. I always say I've always loved a group project. I love seeing what everyone brings. It's just so different, seeing different perspectives. And I love that I could play a song for someone and they feel it in their own way. And that's the point of music too. You know, I make music because I love it, but mostly because I want people to feel. If I liked school more, if I was better at school, I would have been a therapist. But
I can see that. Therapist Kiana, yes. Sign me
the
up.
universe gave me the gift of voice, so I didn't have to use my brain so much. So,
We love that for you. You love your music, so we love that.
So yeah, I just love that it really showed that other artists and other producers, no matter what I said I was going through or whatever feeling I was feeling, they could also feel that in their own way and be able to tell their story in their own way.
So lastly, what is just, you've been giving us advice, you know, the whole interview, but like for singers and artists in particular, what is something that you would want to tell them before they start their journey in the music industry?
Ooh, the thing, you know, I usually say the same one, which is so true, which is why I say it all the time. And I would love for as many people that are interested in being in the music industry as possible to hear it, which is really trust your gut and trust yourself. Don't ever take no as a you're wrong. It just means that it's not right for that person. Still believe that 100%. I'll just throw it in there. But the thing I would love to say today is make sure you have good people around you and you like who you're working with no matter what. Because at the end of the day, they say relationships are everything, but I think quality relationships are everything. The people that stand behind you no matter what, that support you no matter where you're at in your career, where you're at in the world, what time it is, the people that are there for you are going to stay there with you if that relationship is quality and it's deep enough. So make sure that you have a good community around you, that you like and respect everyone that you're working with and that you're involved in.
No, that's solid advice. And that's solid advice for anyone not even in the music industry, but just in life in general. Keep good people around you. Period. So, just in case anyone doesn't know, where can we follow you to keep up, you know, with the tour dates, with any music videos or visuals for the album? So, where can we follow you online?
Everything is just at Kiana Ledé.
Simple. Simple. We love it. We love
Straight
it.
to the point. Aries.
Yes, yes, exactly. Oh my God, it was so nice speaking with you today. It was amazing.
Thank you so much.